What you saw in that video isn't a scene from a TV drama, it's something that actually happened. The woman in the footage is a Chinese national who was tricked by a friend with the promise of a high-paying job in Thailand. Once she got there, she was kidnapped and taken to Mae Sot, a town on the Thailand-Myanmar border. In the video, you can see several men dragging her as she struggles to fight back. But in the end, they forced her onto a boat and took her across the river into Myanmar to a place even worse than prison, Myawaddy. So what exactly is Myawaddy? Every year, nearly 70,000 Chinese people are kidnapped in Thailand. Where do they all end up? How can such massive human trafficking operations operate so openly? And who is the real mastermind behind all of this? Let's start by taking a closer look at some recent cases of Chinese citizens disappearing in Thailand. On January 3rd, a somewhat well-known Chinese actor, Wang Xing, received an invitation to star in a Chinese-Thai co-produced action film. He was invited to travel to Thailand for filming. After arriving in Bangkok, Wang Xing got into a shuttle arranged by the production team and then disappeared without a trace. His fiancée, Jai Jai, realized something was wrong and immediately contacted the Chinese police and the embassy in Thailand. But the police said they couldn't open a case because she wasn't a direct family member. With no other choice, Jai Jai posted about it on Weibo, and the story quickly blew up. Tons of people started paying attention, and even some celebrities like actors and pop stars shared her post. The incident quickly caused a huge buzz online. Under the pressure of public opinion across the country, the Chinese authorities had no choice but to ask Thailand to investigate. On January 7th, Thai police found Wang Xing in Mae Sot, a small town on the Thailand-Myanmar border. His head was shaved, there were obvious marks on his left leg, and he looked blank with a dazed expression. It's hard to imagine what he went through in just those 3 days. Also, a 25-year-old male model named Yang Chi went to Thailand on December 21, 2024 to shoot a film, but then he disappeared. His father quickly flew to Thailand and reported it to the police, tearfully asking for help to find his son. My son Yang Chi has been missing for 22 days. I used to be a soldier, and military life taught me not to fear death or hardship. But this time, I'm really scared. I'm afraid I may never find my son again. I hope everyone can help me and help me find my child as soon as possible. Also, a 21-year-old girl from Wuxi, Wu Jai-chi, flew from Shanghai Pudong Airport to Bangkok, Thailand on the evening of January 5th. She arrived in Bangkok at 2 a.m., but by 3 p.m. on the 6th, all contact was lost. A local driver claims she was sent to Myawaddy, Myanmar. Her father is currently in Thailand searching for his daughter. My daughter is 21 years old and a student. She was tricked into coming to Thailand. I believe the Thai government can help me find my daughter. These are just a small portion of the cases of Chinese people going missing in Thailand. If Wang Xing weren't a minor celebrity, most people might not have known what's been happening in Thailand and Myanmar. So, why are so many Chinese people going missing once they arrive in Thailand? Most of these people are sold by criminal gangs involved in telecom fraud. The way these gangs operate is by using seemingly legitimate business models to lure people into Thailand. Once they arrive, they are quickly transported to the border regions between Thailand and Myanmar, and then sent to places in Myanmar like Myawaddy, which are disguised as industrial parks. There, they are treated like slaves, with their personal freedom completely controlled. Depending on their appearance, gender, and individual skills, people are treated differently. Some of these people are forced to scam and extort money from internet users in their home countries via social networks. At the same time, they are used as bait to trick their own relatives and friends into coming to Thailand under the guise of high-paying jobs. Once they're tricked here, they are used to lure even more people, creating a snowball effect. According to Thai official statistics, about 70,000 Chinese people are trafficked from Thailand to Myanmar each year, which averages to around 200 people going missing every day. Let's take a look at the real experience of Chinese part-time actor Xu Bo-chuen, who was kidnapped. On July 9, 2024, he was tricked into going to northern Myanmar with the promise of a high-paying acting job. But after that, he disappeared. In the end, his mother paid a ransom of 1 million RMB, which is around 140,000 USD, to get him back. One afternoon in October, suddenly the leader of the Telecom fraud group called my name and also called the group team leader, Ah Dong, up to the stage, saying we needed to hand over the password information for the payment account. At that moment, I thought, could it be that I'm finally going home? After we finished the handover, Ah Dong seemed really upset. He felt like I might be leaving, so he beat me up again. Over there, no one dares to stop them from hitting people, and even the team leader can beat anyone at will. They took me to another yard which was run by a chamber of commerce that specialized in collecting ransom and helping people get out. That's how they made money. Then they set up a video call asking the person in the video, "Is this the person?" The person in the video said yes, and I realized it was my mom. My mom said, "This is my son," and then she asked, "Are you safe?" I told her I was safe now, that no one was hitting me anymore. I was standing outside in the yard, not wanting to go inside because I was scared of being locked up again. I looked up at the sun. It was so hot there, but when the sunlight hit my face, I didn't even feel it was harsh. I hadn't seen the sun in 3 months. That day when I saw the sunlight again, I felt like I was seeing hope for life. I was so happy I stood there for a long, long time. Later, I found out that when my mom video called me that day, she had already paid 620,000 RMB in cash to the middleman. Before I was let go, she had to pay even more, bringing the total to almost 1 million RMB, around 140,000. Although Shu Bo Chuan eventually escaped that nightmare, the experience left a deep emotional scar. What made it worse was that he had to watch as those people killed the Chinese people who were tricked into coming there. I'm 37 years old, and it was the first time I ever saw 4 people lose their lives right in front of me. One day, a new group of people arrived, about a dozen, all recently tricked into coming there. They were the kind of guys who didn't study and got into fights all the time. They couldn't handle the abuse they were getting. On the first day, they were beaten badly. The next day, the beatings continued. Eventually, they couldn't take it anymore and fought back. They all tried to grab the guns. During the struggle, the mercenaries, following the orders from the Chinese, opened fire. Right in front of me, 4 young men in their 20s fell to the ground, dead. The leaders of the operation there were all Chinese. After the shooting, 7 others were badly injured and ended up disabled for life. Before I left, I saw one guy in such bad shape that they sent him away. They said he was no longer of any use and took him to a ship near Myawaddy out on the open sea. This wasn't just any ship, it was one used for harvesting organs. Where is Myawaddy? Myawaddy is located in the Greater Mekong River region of Myanmar, right on the border with Thailand. It has roads that connect directly to Bangkok, Thailand, and Yangon, Myanmar. The area is jointly controlled by the Myanmar military, Karen Border Guard Force, and local armed groups. What makes Myawaddy particularly notorious is that it has over 1,000 industrial parks with more than 100,000 people involved in telecom fraud every day. One of the most infamous parks is called KK, where victims have reported that the daily earnings from scams can reach as much as $100 million. But Myawaddy isn't just a hub for fraud, it's also home to a powerful armed force in northern Myanmar. The crime inside these industrial parks is horrifying, including human trafficking, kidnapping, rape, extortion, imprisonment, and even organ trafficking. American independent TV producer Li Juan said that the real investors behind the construction of this industrial park are the Chinese government. It's a product of the Chinese-Myanmar Belt and Road Investment Cooperation Plan. In 2018, the KK Industrial Park was officially launched. By June 2019, Ning Zhe, vice chairman of the National Development and Reform Commission of China, stated at the China-Myanmar Economic Corridor Cooperation Forum that the development of the KK Industrial Park would bring more opportunities and space for cooperation between China and Myanmar. In November 2020, the Chinese embassy in Myanmar even held a promotional event for the KK Industrial Park, presenting its investment environment and development prospects. It's hard to imagine that China's own ambassador was recommending such a terrifying place. Can you believe it? The investors behind the KK Park include China North Industries Group Corporation, China Metallurgical Group Corporation, Xi'an Construction Group, and China National Real Estate Development Group. Electricity is provided by the State Grid Corporation of China, while telecommunications are handled by China Telecom, China Mobile, and China Unicom. Logistics services like government functions are provided by China Post. The Chinese government is responsible for all the infrastructure and services in these parks. This international scam syndicate full of crimes operates just like an administrative organization of the Chinese Communist Party government. Additionally, all these industrial parks are funded by the Chinese government. A Chinese expatriate who has lived in Myanmar for years told an American media outlet that no one dares to touch these telecom fraud parks in Myanmar. Local governments, police, and even the military avoid them. Everyone knows that these parks are owned by the Chinese government, and the people inside act with complete impunity, doing anything they want. Who is the mastermind behind the vast criminal empire? Remember the actor Wang Xing? After being rescued, he told Thai police that he had been detained in a building with over 50 others. In a nearby taller building, people of various nationalities were also being held. Why did Thai authorities rescue only Wang Xing and not everyone else? The truth is, Wang Xing wasn't rescued, he was released. His release was ordered by a man named Yin Guozhu, the owner of the KK Industrial Park. When the news of Wang Xing's abduction exploded on Chinese social media, Yin, fearing further exposure, decided to release him to minimize the fallout. According to Deutschwelle, Yin Guozhu is one of the masterminds behind the telecom fraud operations in northern Myanmar. Backed by China's Belt and Road Initiative, these operations are said to directly serve the interests of the Chinese Communist Party, which allegedly provides them with protection and support. In fact, Wan Kuo-Koi isn't the real boss. There is an even more powerful figure behind him, and that is Geng Zheyuan. Who is this person? Let's listen to Li Juan's introduction. It's widely circulated online that the true mastermind behind all these online fraud operations is Geng Zheyuan. Geng Zheyuan himself is a member of the Ministry of State Security of the Chinese Communist Party. However, in Myanmar, his official title is President of the China-Myanmar Friendship Association. The so-called Friendship Association is the CCP's highest-level United Front official station there. The Friendship Association is essentially a part of the United Front Work Department. Geng Zheyuan is the son of former Chinese Vice Premier Zheng Biao. Xi Jinping once served as Zheng Biao's secretary. Geng Zheyuan can be considered a key player in the recent changes in Myanmar's political landscape and the turmoil among its warlords. He serves as the CCP's representative in Myanmar. Starting in 2015, Geng Zheyuan became the president of the China-Myanmar Friendship Association, a position personally designated by Xi Jinping. According to online reports, Xi Jinping instructed Geng Zheyuan at the time to focus on United Front work in Myanmar with three main objectives. First, to liaise with anti-government forces. Second, to bring together Myanmar's criminal organizations. And third, to bribe officials at all levels of the Myanmar government as well as key figures in its political and economic sectors. These Chinese-funded scam zones are essentially the covert proxies of the United Front Work Department. Actually, calling them dirty proxies would be even more accurate. These zones exist to make money for them. From another angle, without the support of the Chinese Communist Party, it would be impossible for a few Fujian-based gangs or local criminal forces to establish such massive scam operations in Myanmar. Former senior Chinese media figure Zhao Lanjian also analyzed the situation, saying, "The CCP's main goal in Myanmar's United Front work is to prevent it from becoming a democratic country. The more chaotic Myanmar becomes, the better it is for the CCP's rule." In 2017, when I attended a meeting at the China International Economic Exchange Center, I learned that they were designing a macro plan for Myanmar. This plan is part of China's Belt and Road Initiative investment projects. Once it reached Myanmar, the focus was on how to align it with the local conditions and how to drive so-called local development. In other words, the entire framework for Myanmar's logistics, information flow, economic flow, and overall development model was designed by the International Economic Exchange Center. Then, it was handed to the National Development and Reform Commission and eventually to the Ministry of Commerce, which would release policies and funding. The Chinese government injected massive amounts of money into Myanmar, with the actual operations being handled by wealthy business tycoons with political connections, as well as large state-owned enterprises, the type of giant corporations with China in their names. It's not just with the United Front Work Department. Several CCP government departments are directly involved, such as the Ministry of Commerce, the Development and Reform Commission, the National Economic Center, and the China Federation of Overseas Chinese Associations, and even all the official media are singing their praises. In 2018 and 2019, the CCP Central Television, People's Daily, China Overseas Chinese Affairs Network, and China News Network all made a great deal of publicity and coverage of the Belt and Road project in Myawaddy, Myanmar, which is a deceptive tactic, and how many innocent people have traveled there because of believing in the reports of the CCP's government media, only to have their lives changed. How many innocent people have traveled there just because they believe the reports of the official media of the Communist Party of China? You probably wouldn't believe it. One country's government actually uses its own citizens' lives as a way to make money. In mainland China, people like to joke that they were a human mine, and sadly, the reality is that it's true. Most of the people who were cheated and disappeared weren't as lucky as Wang Xing and Xu Bochuan. Many of the victims' families came to the Yunnan Provincial Public Security Bureau on January 2nd to ask for help after learning that Wang Xin had been successfully rescued, hoping that the public security authorities would rescue their children as they had done for Wang Xing. But you can't imagine what happened to them. The parents were controlled and dragged away by the police. They weren't allowed to gather in front of the Public Security Bureau. Our children were so hard to raise, and now they're missing. We've really tried everything and have no choice but to ask for help. If you want to arrest me too, go ahead. Many of the victims' families have even set up an online database called the Star Homecoming Plan. As of January 15th, over 1,000 cases of people who were scammed into Myanmar's telecom fraud hubs have been uploaded. The majority of the missing are between 20 and 40 years old, though there are also minors and people in their 60s. Do you think their hope of being reunited with their loved ones will ever come true? That's all for today. If you enjoy our content, please remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment, or share it with your friends. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time.